Hello and welcome to Radio Montelibero. This is Birkin speaking from the studio of the first club of Montelibero in Bar in Montenegro. And I'm joined here in the studio by Vít, the president of Liberland. So we have a distinguished guest here, and I'm going to be accompanied by Kosta. You might have heard him in Russian, but this is the first time he's going to speak in English in our studio. So welcome, Kosta.
Oh, hi.
Right. First of all, thank you so much for being here, for coming over, and for agreeing to this interview.
Thank you very much.
Right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I think really those are the kind of happiest times in my life.
Yeah, considering the circumstances, as happy as you can be.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about the team and of the people that we put together and how far we have gotten over the 8 years. And those are really kind of magical moments for us right now in Liberland.
Right. Well, why don't you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about Liberland for those of us who have never heard of the country?
So 8 years ago, in April 13, 2015, we started a new country on Balkans on a territory which was not claimed by any other country. We had a nice legal paperwork which showed very well that this territory really has not been claimed, and we found it by looking into the territories that were not claimed. And there was a shopping list on Wikipedia, and I immediately fell in love with Liberland because it was only reasonable territory in Europe, and because it was heart-shaped and it was on the Danube River, basically on the international waterway, similar situation like you are on the ocean, and the beautiful sandy beaches. That was the last thing, and that love became into this long-lasting relationship with the territory, where now 20 Liberlanders are living after the first month that we are able to live there after the 8 years of endless struggles.
Wow. What an exciting story. And that must be a beautiful place to see. Did you actually see it, Kosta?
I saw it just from the water because I've been together with Mr. President on the Serbian side of Danube, and we took a boat from Apatin, from the Serbian headquarters of Liberland, and just saw it from the boat. And I think I couldn't get shore from the boat, right, that day.
Well, to be honest with you, right now we're not pushing for it, but it's the next step where we want to open borders between Liberland and Serbia. Right. So we are going to do that by sending the boats initially from Liberland to Serbia. But we were so happy that we managed to open the borders from Croatia, because for 8 years people were arrested for leaving Croatia illegally when they went to Liberland. And they all end up in jail, and some of them got beaten on the way. So it was all, interesting, and I could always sense that whatever they are doing, it's actually helping us, right? They were protecting the territory for Liberlanders for 8 years, waiting until we actually grow to the status where we want to see ourselves. And all these things are converging. Basically, I think 1 month from now will be kind of a peak of our readiness to be a real functioning country with all the IT infrastructure, and probably the end of the year and the next anniversary will be the real deal in terms of us being formed as a serious country. Right now, we've got all the basic elements. The justice system is being finalized, and it's also on blockchain. The security and basically the court system connected to it. All these things are also maturing in the form of mobile app, and have decentralized security, and also a deal with the private security company, which I've been just texting with, that is already taking care of our borders. So, all these kind of basic statehood elements are maturing to reality, which is very exciting to follow. That these things that we have been working on for 8 years are really turning out to be the elements of statehood. And whatever obstacles Croatia is giving us, they're always helping us to grow to the statehood level. And and I'm happy that all these obstacles were basically a couple bruises all the time. That Liberland has been formed through basically 2 or 3 major conflicts with Croatia, but without a single injury in the process. And I have to knock on the table for the fact that over the wood that we really are in a very good position not to start the country without any single dead person, but without any injury whatsoever, which I think would be a great achievement, lifetime achievement, if we manage to do that.
Yeah. And when I came back from my trip to Liberland, I think 2 weeks ago, Monteliberans were asking me, what's the situation with Croatia and because there are no official press releases from Croatia, any official information from Croatia about the border. So can you explain a little how this negotiation looks like?
Well, I can tell you there are official news. I was basically banned from entering both Croatia and Liberland in their latest release. So they recognize that Liberland is not part of their territory. They're trying to fight with us through all different legal and now also illegal means. And it's very funny, the raid itself that we probably could talk about was completely without any paperwork. So they just used the state institutions to rob us. But the situation is really as follows. They recognize that Liberland is not their territory. They know very well that they cannot, that the court themselves will decide if they're fining us. Maybe we have like 60, 70 fines for different funny stuff inside of Liberland because they're sending the policemen inside. They know that not a single one of these fines can get to the court because the court would simply recognize that the whatever fine was actually or whatever accident or whatever thing that they were trying to fine us for was not happening on the territory of Croatia. So they're in this extremely funny situation when they are trying to push us back by bureaucracy, and the only thing that they're doing is they're killing their fingers by writing the fines. And then they know also very well that they cannot push these papers to the court because the court itself would basically recognize our sovereignty over this territory. So that got us into the situation when they called our tactics bloody hands, the policemen themselves, that they recognize the fact that they're just killing themselves with the bureaucracy. And that also led to a creation of this system where we have been hostage in many occasions on the river, on the land border. Like people are being held just for a passport check, but the passport check can last up to 6 hours, legally in Croatia. So, I've been through it myself. I really wanted to make sure that I understand their feelings and that I spend a lot of time with the local policemen because that's also a good way to prevent some major accident in the future. And yes, let's be open about this. All these gentlemen that are working there, or not all of them, but let's say 40% of them are having some sort of post-war trauma. Many of them were serving in the war. And I really wanted to understand them, be open to them, explain them exactly what we are standing for. A good form of training also for me, the Croatian language, which I'm starting to be better and better at, and and really make sure that and I knew that I will be very likely banned from Croatia if we basically move to another level of the statehood. But I wanted to really have a personal contact with every single person that has been guarding Liberland territory for all these 8 years. And that, the main point here is that the Liberland justice system is just maturing enough, so we are able to now charge these policemen that are holding us hostage with the merit system, with the same system which we are rewarding our taxpayers. We are able to charge the policemen that are misbehaving in a sense that they are holding us hostage, for example, for a long time. So the last regulation that we came up with is that every single minute that we are being held hostage by these policemen, we get their badge number, they get their email, police, their badge number at liberland.org. We don't need to know their identity, but they already have accounts. So every single minute that they hold us hostage, they lose 1 merit. And we will be basically having a personal direct responsibility for their actions by every single policeman that is right there. And we will start it by this incident that happened. We will make all people that took part in the robbery in Liberland, we will make them personally accountable. Not just the policemen, but also the workers of the Croatian forest. And they have to understand that all the actions that they are doing in Liberland are recorded, and they have to understand that they're losing a huge monetary value. We might not get that value from them back in the future, but but they have to understand that they might be actually then banned from enjoying Liberland, because until they resolve their debts to the Republic, they might have a problem accessing it in the future.
Yeah.
Do you have any legal means to thwart this kind of behavior, to prevent this from happening in the future?
Well, this is a Liberland justice system. There is no remedy in the Croatian justice system. If somebody holds you for no reason for 6 hours, the system is so bad that there is nothing we can push these policemen to act reasonably outside of their own consciousness. And the lawyers can call the police station, please release them, but they have the right to hold people without any reason for 6 hours, right? So that's one thing. And right now we have just kind of arbitrarily decided that every single policeman that took part of this raid will lose 1,000 merits. But the damage that they have created, like monetarily, is between 50,000 to 200,000 euro right now. We're trying to assess the total damage, and we'll see. So we will basically divide this damage over the people that are there. But initially, we just take 1,000 merits. But we're also going to reward the policemen that will do the speedy border check according to the way it should be done, right? So instead of holding us hostage for 5 hours, if they manage to do it under 10 minutes, they're going to be rewarded with 20 to 50 merits just for letting us go in a regular way. And we had the first incident where we were actually delighted to give 1,000 merits, and that's where we're going back to the immigration policy. Our Minister of Interior came to Liberland 2 days ago, and after a negotiation with the chief of the police, he was the first person ever to be granted, outside of Schengen, to be granted access to Liberland without being banned from Croatia consequently for the next 30 days. So, Kosta, even if you had a Schengen visa, if you come as a Russian citizen into Liberland, Croatia would recognize your support to Liberland, and they would give you a ban for 30 days to access to Croatia. They say it's whole Schengen, but it's bullshit. It's not whole Schengen. They can only ban people from Croatia. And they've been using this. But so our Minister of Interior was the first person ever to be granted this exception that he could visit Liberland without being banned from Croatia. And we're going to reward this as well in a positive way, because that was a basically first friendly sign from the Croatian police after this month and a half, or after these 8 years of constant battles, quote unquote.
Yeah, a little victory.
Yeah, congratulations. But whose responsibility do you think this is? So you take away the merits and you reward these police officers with merits for speedy checks. But how are they going to be personally responsible for something that their government tells them to do? Well,
of course, they're always personally responsible. It's just like with the Second World War. Yeah. The orders are not something. If you're ordered to conduct a robbery, it's your moral responsibility not to conduct it, right? So, and they are very aware, these guys, and I think they already have a big problem internally while doing these things. So the chief of police, sometimes when there are multiple chiefs, so one of the chief of police, I think they're getting a bit desperate because the smaller policemen don't want to go to the field and, for example, don't want to tell people at night not to sleep in the house in Liberland, right? So the chief himself has to go because he simply...
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous. But they were also trying to basically wake up us at night at some point just to prove their point that we are kind of illegally building houses on the territory that they don't claim, right? So, and I could see in the last couple of weeks that the chief himself had to go to the ground and tell this to Liberlanders, because I believe that he could no longer get anybody of his people to go and do these ridiculous things. So the system really is breaking from within, and I really see, that not just because of that, but there was also a bunch of Croatian policemen that completely independently from other parts of Croatia came down, and they told us they want to basically start working for Liberland as a security or help through other means, for example, through building the proper immigration scheme. And, we've got a fairly good offer for Croatian policemen. The Liberland policemen are 3 times better paid than the Croatian police. So there is actually a line of people that are seriously interested from Croatia police as well. I think it's a fair reward. Instead of 1,200 euro, which you can barely survive with, you are going to get 3,600 euro at this condition as a Liberland policeman. We're actually paying slightly more right now to our private security agency, but let's give them big credit for being so bold and basically, despite a strong opposition from Croatian police themselves, taking on the job of Liberland first security. And this is actually the biggest company in the region that does this private security.
Yeah, well, of course, they're bold enough to go against what they are supposed to be doing, I guess, and you should probably reward them for being these pioneers, right? I've got it.
I think it's a great idea to engage with the police on that side, because when I was there, I noticed that friendliness of Liberlandans towards the police, and I would even call it like a playful atmosphere, and it's so unusual to me as a Russian. I kind of not at ease when police is around, and
it's true.
It's something new to me, and I think it's helpful. It's against like fighting. You kind of try to invite them on your side, so to say, the individual people, not the state. That's good.
But of course, as much as I admire your perseverance, your determination to keep fighting, to try and win this confrontation, right? Because this is a huge standoff. I can't help but think the government has so much more, like the government of Croatia has so much more resources than at the moment you do. So what keeps you moving? What helps you keep doing this?
Well, they might have more resources in total, but we are actually very much focused. We're focused on the 7 square kilometers, while they'll have the whole Croatia and deal with lots of other things. And locally, our control over Liberland territory is already higher than what they have in terms of the fact that we have more people living there constantly, right? And that is despite this, let's say, pushback from Croatia, that is something that is only going to grow. And there is 4 million Croatians, right? But there is 700,000 Liberlanders, and the territory of Liberland is, I think, 10,000 times smaller than Croatia. So we're let's say, the nation itself is. I'm living in diaspora everywhere around the world, and I'm considering Montelibero one of those places where Liberlanders are living, but maybe not truly fully discovered their origin. But I believe there is a lot of Liberlanders living here. There is probably 40 million Liberlanders around the world, like those 4% of the global population that sooner or later will be attracted to Liberland. And it's a huge nation. We're the size of, let's say, Poland, and they're slowly finding their home, and they're coming back to the place that they truly belong. And that's really exciting historical process.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you're already living in the future in a way. So you're already living in this post-state society where you're not determined by the origin or by the nationality, your passport, but you decide who you are just by your ideology,
sharing values,
and values.
I wish it was like that, but to be honest with you, I really think that there is no more than 4% of population that kind of shares these values. That's from my experience from the Czech politics. But people are still very much reluctant to take responsibility for their lives, and I don't think there will be any kind of country creation based on other ideologies than freedom, because there is simply enough tax hells around the world. Why would somebody start another tax hell? We wouldn't really have the edge. There is enough tries to make communist society also always fails. So what we're doing is I think, and to be honest with you, the only genuine launch of a country that can happen. And yes, the countries will be collapsing. The old system is going to collapse, and it's probably not going to be very nice. But the old system will somehow prevail. It will switch itself in a different ways. But there is not a single reason, if it was able to survive all this crazy stuff until now, why there should be any major shift of the paradigm. Expecting some sort of miraculous solvation of problems. No, people are actually, in Czech Republic, we had 2 communists, former communists running for presidency office, and part of the society, half of the society almost was in favor of one communist, and the other half of the other communist. And yes, there were 4% of people, they were like, maybe I don't want to vote communist. So I'm not super optimistic that there will be some major shift in the paradigm, and I'm also following, for example, the network states, which is trying to open up people more to the idea of having different countries kind of created out of the networks. But I truly believe that the only serious cause is freedom, and in that particular element, Liberland really doesn't have competition right now. There is no other entity that is seeking full sovereignty while basically having the best possible ideology that you can have for formation of the society.
Yeah, you mentioned the decision-making process. For example, when with the police, which got penalized by merits, or they can gain merits. How this decision process looks like in Liberland? Because another not misconception, but lack of information is that everyone knows Mr. President, like Vít is a president of Liberland, and nothing else. So what's the internal affairs? How the decision process is working?
Well, yes, we're fairly centralized, and the blockchain governance hasn't kicked in yet. We also know basically that the freest countries in the world, and let's talk about Liechtenstein, are monarchies. Let's face it. It is a system in which there is somebody that basically decides quite a lot of things and try to keep things free. And I'm quite honored that, for example, Hans Adam, the Prince of Liechtenstein, was looking forward. He told me to sit in the UN together because it's Liberland Liechtenstein. And it's true that, that these things usually work for quite some time. The problem always with the monarchies is who is going to be the next monarch. Because the next monarch might not be the one that is sharing the values, I would face the same problem. I'm not sure if I'm able to raise my kids to the degree of respect to privacy and free society and all of these things. I'll do my best, but there is no guarantee that I will succeed, because that's one of the most challenging things in life, right? To raise your kids in a way that you would like to raise them, because there are so many other elements to it, like, for example, your spouse. So this is the biggest problem for monarchies, and we're trying to solve it by basically having the best elements of republic combined with the best elements of democracy, combined with best elements of monarchy and corporation. So we've been working on this new concept of statehood, but it is not really that new. We are just trying to really combine the best elements of all these systems together in a transparent blockchain governance. So we have 2 chambers. One chamber is the Congress, and that's literally a corporate body that is formed by the taxpayers. The taxpayers are voting who is going to represent them, and that means all the fresh taxpayers from beginning of Liberland. And then we have Senate, which is basically a body of founding fathers, something like House of Lords, that has more of an oversight over the Liberland rather than executive role. And putting these 2 chambers in balance, I see it's a very important part of the development of the country. We are actually here in Montenegro to finalize this. That's why I have my core team here to make these final balances and make sure that they're really in balance. So this is one of my top priorities, because the relation between these 2 chambers has to be coded in and has to be very smartly combined, so that the one chamber cannot take over the other chamber. That's one thing. And, we're also having elements of democracy, the Swiss type of public veto. So majority of society can veto any decision by the Congress. So basically the shareholders can be vetoed by majority of citizens. And I think that's another important element. So the corporation basically does all of what it wants, unless it doesn't conflict with the interest of Senate or with the interest of majority of society. And I think it's actually really good way to structure this, because then you can call yourself a democracy because you're never going against the will of the majority, but the majority cannot inflict its will on the minority. only the majority shareholders can start pushing their will, but they're always in check by kind of the founding fathers as well as the majority of citizens.
Is this already in place, or just
No,
you moving?
It's all coded. It's all coded in. The final elements are not there yet. We need to spend one more week, basically, with my team to finalize it.
And I'm interested how many people you actually need to run a country, right? To be able to maintain all these bureaucratic matters.
Right now there's 92 employees that are working. Most of them, well, I would say half of them full-time and half of them part-time.
And you've also mentioned blockchain government. What does that mean, and how do they work on the blockchain?
Well, all the state matters that you can think of: voting, budgeting, justice system, registrars, all these chambers, it's all coded into one single platform. You basically utilize the code of Polkadot, which allows this kind of things, and we twisted it so all these elements are hard-coded in it. And the cool thing is that every single citizen can run a node which run all these things. So right now, for example, we have, I believe, 28 nodes, meaning 28 citizens are running all the state administration on their computer separately. So if somebody wanted to take down the state IT system, they would really have to destroy all 28 nodes that are out there. And it's getting fairly decentralized. So it would be already difficult. We are probably going to have 120 to 200 nodes in the future. And there is a good incentive model for these guys to keep up their computers because they're getting part of the inflation that is created on one of our two tokens. So there we've got two tokens. One of them is the Liberland dollar that is used to maintain the infrastructure, which is quite precious, and that is only going to be distributed as a airdrop to everybody that supports Liberland until 15th of October. And the other one is Liberland Merit that is basically distributed to everybody that supports Liberland. Or it can be also taken away by justice system if it's in a staked form. So whenever you pay taxes in Liberland, you get merits. It used to be $1 one merit, but last week we had such a huge interest in the merit, we had to double the price in order to slow down. Unfortunately, it didn't, or fortunately, it didn't really slow down the interest.
It's not too late to
it's not too late, but the value of the ecosystem has doubled overnight and we didn't lose the interest. Like it's actually even rise the interest after we doubled the price of merit.
Nice.
And we are switching basically from completely donation-based society into now basically investment-based society, and it's a big shift of paradigm. Like legally still, it's basically donation by our citizens to the state, and the state in return donates or gives its own share to people. So it's not automatic. It's not like a direct relationship. Also, we can, somebody can send money and we can decide, okay, we accept the money, but you're not going to get the shares, for example, technically, but it hasn't happened yet, actually. But it's not like somebody is investing with Liberland. We're always accumulating donations, and then we can decide that we're going to give some of the governance, or I would say state tokens to the citizens or to whoever decides to support Liberland.
Well, I if you don't mind, I want to ask another question about the people who are buying passports, and in doing so, they invest in the economy of Liberland. But what's going to happen when the country runs out of these donations or some sort of incentives, like immediate incentives to the financial system?
It will never run out because the whole system has been designed in a way that only 10% of remaining reserves are being distributed. So we will never run out. We will simply have less and less merits to distribute every year, and the value of the merit might be quite high at some point. We might even need to lower the requirement from 5,000 merits to something less in the future because the price of citizenship could simply be too expensive. But the requirement right now is to have 5,000 staked merits. That means you cannot use your merits right away. You can unstake them, or you can also only unstake 10% a year. But if you're starting to unstake them, you lose your right to vote in Liberland, and you are able to basically get 10% of your shares whatever you have. So I think it's a quite nice social security system. So if you're basically on welfare in Liberland, you lose the right to decide about the future of the country as well. And those are the same merits that these policemen, for example, are gaining or losing right now, right? So, you can also be in really bad standing with Liberland. By the way, I made a general amnesty for all the criminals in Liberland. We had like 15 people that really like robbed us badly throughout the 8 years. And we always noted how much they robbed us. And right now it's just a history, because I was thinking, so we finally got the territory. It's probably good time to just let go of the past. Just like the Jews are forgetting the depths once in a while, just let these people go. And it also was very releasing, to basically do that, to have the ability, and now also, the real possibility to just let go of the past and start really fresh with the new merit system. So right now, I don't even think that anybody has negative merits, right? By the way, because the system hasn't kicked in for the policeman. We will start it with this big robbery. So the only people with negative merits will be those policemen that are taking part of this robbery now. And it's actually daily robbery. So they're coming now every day, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're collecting all personal belongings of people unless they don't put them to the boat. So the boat is being used as a shelter in Liberland Marina. And it's a very funny situation. It's very, very, very funny situation. And they're getting on a thicker and thicker ice, basically digging their kind of grave because legally they're completely outside of Liberland, like decent code of conduct, outside of Croatian decent, and also international standards. You just don't go to people and rob them whatever they have every single morning at 6 o'clock. It's just ridiculous. And it's also funny to see these forestry people, man. And these policemen kind of celebrating, we came here and we finally took everything and destroyed their houses. It's how the group psyche works in this, right? When people get in herds, they're able to really support each other in the most stupid activities that they can come up with.
Also, when they come next time, you can invite journalists.
Yeah, we've got bunch of journalists coming actually, and there will be a nice report on the Croatian television from the TV Nova. Will make a big report. It's such a great gift what Croatia has given us through this undecent behavior that we don't even need to push it too much. Even if it was not even published, just the fact that these things start to be processed on multiple levels is a great thing. But of course, we have I think more than at least 5 hours of videos from this. And our team is now compiling it into micro-documentary that other media houses will be able to put together. And I'm happy that actually it helps also the Liberland television to grow because right now it has to kind of rely on itself. So I'm not too sad that we don't have documentaries. I wish they were coming. And I told you we've got 3 documentary teams coming on Monday. I wish they were there last week because they would have a great footage.
Right. Yeah. I should probably put our listeners and viewers in this context. There have been police raids basically every day at 6 o'clock in the morning on the territory of Liberland. That these police forces that come from Croatia, as I understand.
Yeah, well, we had just one 6 o'clock morning raid. It had happened today, but the day before we had this general raid where they basically stole everything that they could find.
And they also destroyed the houses.
Yeah. And it was happening basically almost exactly 1 month after I was expecting it to happen. So it's funny because I actually had a alarm video where I was expecting major raid. They were telling me almost every day that they're coming and raid us. But at this point, they called me to the police station. At the point, we had only few people in Liberland, right? I was a bit of a situation there where when we settled Liberland, we settled it, let's say, with 78 people coming at the same time, right? From the festival. Those were the more adventurous people, and they were all ready to basically get arrested on the border by Croatian police, and we're expecting that they would show off guns like always. And but we were able to go. They just checked our documents and let us go through the border. It was a hilarious situation. Also, I'm sorry we don't have a single professional TV crew with us on that one. And they let us go through. but of course, like 90% of these people had to go home next day because they have kids, they have work. So we ended up there maybe with 15 people the next day only, and then another 6 dropped out. So we were, and at one point we only had this one guy, Frederick, which is kind of nice because we always said this is a spirit of Frederick Bastiat, which I'm always referring to. Frederick that came like an IT expert from Paris. That was literally, when I needed to go to shopping because there was nobody to do the shopping to sustain the presence. He was there in the cellar on the Liberty Street 1 holding the position. So we never dropped below 1 person in Liberland since the 6th of August this year.
What sort of premise do they have, these police forces, for actually coming to your territory and just destroying everything?
Yeah, so just before they let us in, they knew they have to give themselves some sort of jurisdiction. So they let the Serbian side know by official diplomatic note that they are not claiming the territory yet. They are starting to claim the control over the territory. Like, they don't say control, but they start to police it, basically. That's what they said in their statement. Like a smart way how they're assessing that kind of now they have some sort of jurisdiction over it. But it was, of course, bullshit. If the Croatia doesn't claim the territory, they are acting extra territorially. And they can do that, the states can do that because they have the power to do so. Like, they can also enforce their jurisdiction on open sea, but unless they don't find somebody that they're clashing with, right? And then it's really about, and yes, like, international system is a jungle. It's basically about the fittest, right? So you have to prove yourself to be a force that basically they cannot push their jurisdiction through. So we need to prove ourselves over the time with international support, with media support, with human capital support, that we are able to stop them from enforcing their jurisdiction on our territory. And I think we've been quite successful, and this will really help us quite a bit to show that they are completely overstepping their own jurisdiction. So I believe actually that this was the last big raid in Liberland, because the courts, the international media, etc., will simply recognize that what Croatia is doing is outrageous, and they will not be able to conduct it anymore. When they beat up this YouTuber Nico Omilana that came to celebrate with us the anniversary this year. And Nico was very much dedicated to the idea of sticking the flag in the middle of Liberland, and it's a 32-minute hilarious video that he was taking for 3 weeks in Liberland, trying to get there from different sides. But at the end, spoiler alert, yes, he managed to put it there. Yay. He came from Hungary, which we knew is the best way to get to Liberland, with a bunch of jet ski guys on very high-speed chase with the police. He went around them, stick the flag, and he got beaten by the Croatian police for no reason, like no legal reason whatsoever. And of course, this was like a major stopper for them to be able to push some violence. Yes, we have encountered some violence now also during the raid, because people were forcefully kicked out of the houses, basically. But they are having a huge problem now with violence against us. And I just believe that this like illegal property seizure is exactly the same type of event like was this thing with Omilana. And by the way, Nico Omilana is coming back. He's gonna do another hilarious 10 million view video with us. So not that we don't have enough documentary, we've got brave YouTubers, and I would really like to invite the YouTubers of the world that are good in what they're doing to come to Liberland and settle their own plot inside of the territory of Liberland.
Well, of course, we can laugh it off and joke about it, but it's a serious crime, and like beating up a person, like I can't even think. And I think it's quite ironic that Croatia does that, and by doing this, they sort of legalize and make it more of a norm for other countries to do the same thing, like when Russia invaded Ukraine on dubious grounds of, taking control of a territory, or like restoring order or denationalization or whatever. And Russia is going to use this example as something that, what, other countries are also doing that. Let's look at Croatia. Let's look at, Serbia. And this is insane. because I can't imagine like why they can't think of the consequences of what they're doing right now.
Well, of course, there is this whole paradigm that also Russia is using, especially always talking back about Kosovo, right, where a sovereign country lost its territory, which is pretty like regional thing, right, and very, very heatedly debated. We're trying to avoid, as Liberlanders, this topic especially, but the fact that Kosovo was, that the NATO aided the breakaway of Kosovo is a great argument now for Russia to do the same thing in the future, right? They always refer back to the Kosovo. You guys actually helped to split the country, and we're doing the same thing with Ukraine, right? But I think really right now we've got basically all the cards in our hands. We are in an incredibly good organizational and financial shape to create a new country, and we just need a little bit more support from international community, from the media. And anybody that is able to help Liberland to move forward is very welcome to settle there. They were going to get merits, and we are forming a new society that I think will shape the future of the civilization.
It's fantastic. Well, the best of luck to you. I have a question about the media. How do you plan to involve world media? You have videos on YouTube, as I get it, and you have a special film crew that makes documentary movies about the raids and about your life in Liberland and how you're building your society. But have you been planning to make a studio like this one, or maybe you already have one? Maybe you have a TV station there or a radio station.
Yeah, there is a TV station right now in Serbia, and I'm in discussion with them moving it to Liberland. I hope we will succeed. It's a very nice studio. It's called TV Liberland. If you put TV Liberland, it's going to show you the location in Serbia.
Oh, okay.
But we haven't got it engaged yet, and we are right now, because of these raids, actually, making the studio there would be premature because we would lose the equipment probably.
Oh.
But we're going to build it on this nice houseboat that we got, and it was also a crazy story. Basically, first boat ever registered in Liberland because this guy, Alexander, extremely capable Serbian guy that makes beautiful houseboats, he sold us a houseboat and he brought it to Liberland with a registration that was about to expire in 5 days. So he puts me in this position where I have these antagonistic Croatian policemen that are trying to use every opportunity to seize the boats whenever they don't see that they have enough vests or the light is not working. It's kind of funny, like they are trying to use the bureaucracy to the limit. And I have to pick this up because this is our emergency line with the Minister of Finance. Filters now in Liberland, and they're trying to starve the people basically that live inside of Liberland. We are expecting this, and it's happening. So we will have to find a creative way how to deliver stuff.
Helicopters, maybe.
Helicopters, boats, quads, motorbikes. Yes, it's a nice challenge, and we will have right people on it. They did the same thing like China. We already been through this. This happened in February. They basically tried to completely blockade us, and then they try, as a result of that, then they try to save us. So, they steal everything from us, and then they say, because you don't have water and because you don't have food, we're saving you from Liberland. So, they have exactly the same strategy.
So, you've been talking about the raid and how some activists, volunteers from other countries, for example, from Hungary, actually come over to put the flag in the territory of Liberland. But can you tell us a little bit more about these, the international community and how you cooperate? Because as I understand it, people of Liberland did not originally come from only Serbia or only Croatia, right? These are people from different countries, not just the neighboring countries, right?
Well, they are all from all around the world. And I told you basically, ultimately it's 4% of the global population, but now it's 1% out of 1% what we've got. So it's 700,000 people.
Yes, but the people who actually come and either reside or actually
come and
visit.
They're people from all of these countries. It's it's a complete mixture. Somebody from Argentina, somebody from Germany, somebody from UK, somebody from China. It's really, really complete mixture now.
Wow. And what motivates them? Have you ever asked
it's
them?
really the searching for freedom. Like people that really are looking for freedom in their lives. Those are the people that are coming to Liberland.
How do you think we can cooperate internationally as libertarians, as people who build free cities, free countries like yours?
Well, I told you, there is not too many people doing just that. There is a lot of people that are building communities globally around the world. And I think it's great to make partnerships between Liberland and these communities. So I would be very honored if you decided to officially collaborate with Liberland as one of the diaspora villages. We have a nice new website, hopefully. Dorian will finish it behind this wall tonight, and we can launch it because there is a nice catalog of all of these villages. I think we're counting 27 right now that are somehow associated with Liberland, and yes, it's about mutual support. Just like the Jews were in the diaspora all around the world, Liberlanders are also in the diaspora. These diaspora villages are themselves not sovereign. But they are trying to seek special status in their country. Some of them are trying to seek a special economic zone. Some of them, like Prospera, is trying to also search for some sort of special status. So those are all the basically signs of our people trying to build free communities around the world. We are mostly not trying to claim full sovereignty because we know it's difficult and there is. It's a big challenge, and if you're basically claiming a territory of another country, you're most likely to fail because these countries are very aggressive about their own territories. But also it has happened before. But simply, Liberland is a special because we have not claimed a territory of another country. We're very particularly interested in this place because it was not claimed by any other country for more than 25 years when we claimed it.
And I hope you do continue to seek legal recognition for your country, and by doing so, the recognition of such societies and such communities as such as yours.
Yes, sure. We're in process of getting recognized, and we have a lot of verbal support, even from big countries, for recognition. So I'm quite positive about it, and our team is going to lobby in the Congress and Senate in the United States next week. I'm actually getting recognized with Gussie Peace Prize, where there will be I think 5 other presidents are going to be present during the ceremony. So these things are very important. We signed deal with Haiti, with Dominican Republic. We also signed deal, and we got already support from one of the chambers for recognition. We have very good relations with El Salvador. I was there on official diplomatic visit. We've got Malawi, Mali. A lot of these countries are also now interested in helping us in some shape or form. Because we, for example, help them, like Liberia, the latest, and this was the call from this gentleman that I had to postpone. But we have helped Liberia to put their voting election system on blockchain to make it transparent, and they were interested in it. And we received a letter from them 2 weeks ago that they appreciate the support of Liberland in this transition to blockchain transparency in terms of voting system. So Liberland is getting more and more recognized, and I'm quite excited that that we have such a great diplomatic team. Just to mention, the Secretary of State of Liberland is also representative of British King. He was the guy behind the recognition of Somaliland. It was the first country where we got into serious diplomatic relations. Our vice president is also advisor to one of the former U.S. presidents. Our Foreign Minister Thomas Walls, he is former diplomat for U.S. He was working under the Holbrooke administration. Navid Saverin, our finance minister that I've just talked to, that is holding the positions there, he is a skilled diplomat as well as a financier himself. So it's a great team of people, amazing people that are helping me to build Liberland. I'm extremely grateful for them being on board, and of course the people that are there right now physically in Liberland is a bunch of heroes.
There must be. And of course, if you need any technical support at all, if you ask us, we'd be more than happy to provide you with some information how to build things like such blockchain systems, because Montelibero would be more than interested to actually integrate in your system and vice versa. Right?
Okay, that's excellent. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're here, because some sort of financial integration or token integration could be mutually beneficial project.
Absolutely, and we are ready to invest in your country.
Amazing.
I talked to Dorian already about that, and I think we can share. We have quite extensive tokenomics in Montelibero. You can share our experience and help around. Actually, the guys from Liberstad, do you know these Norwegians? They also here, and they were here in this club today, and they will tomorrow on the festival. Yeah, so you can connect them with them as well if you haven't yet.
I mean, like Liberstad was literally created a couple of weeks after Liberland with the same colors and with the same stuff. So they are kind of that was, I think, one of the villages which I'm looking forward to talk to them. I haven't talked to them for quite a while, but that was, I think, one of the villages that kind of got created as a ripple effect of creation of Liberland, and then it's great that they're here, and I'm looking forward to meet them.
Yeah, two of them will be on the festival tomorrow.
What do you expect from the festival? It's going to be tomorrow. On the 23rd.
I think this is really, I would say, the most advanced village that we can work with in Europe right now because of your blockchain governance and because of your, for example, of your fund, which already makes you, at least in Europe, to my knowledge, like most advanced potential partner that we can get. So I'm excited to be here. I think it's very important. And I would also like to make sure that out of this conference, we are able to build an embassy in Montenegro. So we have very strong relations through different people, to prime minister, to president. But I think it's also important to have a strong national movement inside of the country to be able to open an embassy. So yes, this is what I'm expecting, that I will find some really good people to help us to build the country. And thanks for all the contacts that you have provided me so far in this regard.
Our pleasure. Right. Well, we're looking forward to the conference as much as you are. And the best of luck to us all, because it's going to be the first ever experience of doing something of that scale. We've never done it before. And we're going to be live streaming. So it will be available to anyone who tunes in and has this YouTube link. And this will hopefully help us reach out to our audience and bigger audience. Right? So thank you so much. We are honored for you to come over here to the first Club of Montelibero, to the podcast studio. I think it was a really nice conversation, and we kind of got a grasp of like what stage Liberland is at right now. The best of luck to your country, the best of luck to your government. I really hope that, and I'm almost sure that it's going to be a success. And the best of luck to us again.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
It's great to be here. I'm looking forward for the festival. And I hope you're going to make it to the anniversary next year at least. Yeah. But I wish you could also come in next couple of weeks.
Yes.
Because it would be lovely to have you there.
Absolutely. Yes. We would try. We'll try hard.
We were hoping for the day we can come to Liberland with our Russian passports only.
Yes. And that's not very far, by the way. It's just a matter of opening the borders with Serbia. And this is what we're going to work over the next 2 weeks.
Right.
Good. Yes. Amazing. Thank you again.
Thank you. This was Vít. Yeah. And of course, I've been accompanied by Kosta, and I am Birkin as usual. Thank you. Bye.